So here we are together with Stephen Fulder, who is talking to us from northern Israel, a little village called Klil, not so far from the Lebanese border. And I was lucky to be able to stay with him at his home. Stephen, I'm so happy to welcome you. I will say a few words about yourself, but how are you this morning? Just to get the first few words already from you.
Well, I'm really fine, and I feel with you all. I actually feel I'm just one little square on the screen in front of me, but you guys are filling the screen, and I'm feeling very much connected to all of you right now. I look outside, there's olive trees, there's a lot of heat, but I'm absolutely fine. In a terrible situation, but absolutely fine inside. And it's something I also want to talk about with all of you.
Well, that's exactly head on what we are going to talk about, how to be, or what's happening with the screen. Stephen,
I'm seeing myself perfectly. Oh, okay. I'm
that's
seeing
wonderful.
two versions of me here, and one keeps is a little bit unsure.
And it's funny that he would be on two screens, but what happened here? Stephen, you need to agree that it is being recorded. That seems to be...
I did agree, and I pressed the
Okay.
button, okay.
Okay, good.
But
Okay,
something else happens anyway.
Okay. You are being asked to accept again to be a co-host. I thought we had done this already.
Where do I do that?
You have been assigned the co-host function so that you can... Okay, maybe that's the problem, that he's appearing with the Ekayana Institute suddenly with a second screen. Mm.
Oh, that's better. Now I see all of you guys much better.
Yes, something is much better. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Stephen, back to our little start, our introduction. It is the way I want to introduce you is more from the heart. Meeting with you for me was very touching. We know each other now since 8 years ago with our first meeting in Beatenberg. And we already connected well then, and then again after the 7th of October, and then a month later or 6 weeks later, we met again, and there was this invitation that I come over, and I discovered you more than before. You're almost 80 years old. It seems that you're so young, but I got to know that you were born just a year after the war in 46, in England probably. Because you also went then later on to make your PhD in Oxford. And if I remember properly, you researched a lot about plants and the chemicals inside plants. So I think you got a degree in biochemistry or something like this. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and while you were researching on Indian plants in Varanasi, you met your wonderful wife, Rachel, right? And this must be some 50 years ago or something.
Correct, yes. We just celebrated our 49th wedding anniversary last week. So yeah, 50 years.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful? And really, what is so touching for me also is that Rachel would not call herself a Buddhist practitioner. She is rather a Jewish mystic practitioner with the Kabbalah, if I understand properly, and you live this Ekayana vision in your couple, and you are the founder of the Insight Meditation Society in Israel, and at your side is a person practicing a slightly different way.
Yeah. At the depth, we're in one ocean, and we come to it from different sides, but the ocean is the same.
This is so beautiful. And of course, here, this public, we are also quite cross-traditional, but mostly different Buddhist traditions. So you're not speaking to a mostly Vipassana audience, but actually we have this Tibetan background. And if I remember properly, you have some leanings towards Dzogchen, and you have been familiar with some Tibetan Buddhism. However, you passed on your unnecessary photos of divinities. Remember, you gave a package of them to me. So you go towards the essence, right? You go towards the essence of what you perceive as the Dharma.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, go ahead.
You go ahead, because there's no need to mention more than that you are celebrating your 30th anniversary of Tovana. I believe that you started 30 years ago bringing the formal Vipassana practice into Israel. You're close friends of some very famous Vipassana teachers in this world, and pioneer generation. So let us hear from you how in these times of war and crisis, and where everyone gets in a havoc emotionally and outwardly, because you live in a place where the rockets have been flying overhead, you see them exploding in the air, some of them have landed close by. So we want to know how you practice and how you guide your retreats. So
Sure.
of course, I have to remember to speak slowly. I'm always getting a little bit enthusiastic, and I give the word to you now.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I enjoyed very much our meetings in Beatenberg over the years. I arrived in 1980 in Israel, I think as the earliest Buddhist in Israel, and totally by accident. I never really intended to live in Israel. It just sort of happened that, like, karma does its thing. So here I was in Israel, and I found that the only other person that knew the word Vipassana was the Prime Minister Ben Gurion, because he was in Burma and he learnt something about Vipassana. And anyway, I came in 1980 to Israel, and I've been practicing since then. But I have to say right at the beginning that I've been a kind of an activist all my life. And from the baby boom generation, I was one of the original English hippies. And ecology, Dharma, social change has been part of the language, the inner language. And as I got more and more into Dharma practice, I found the marriage between the deepest places of awareness and how we are in the world. They are not two different territories. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and then open it to you, Lama Tillman, for questions and for a little bit fine-tuning. And then I understand that I can guide a meditation. Excuse me. I'll guide a meditation. Then we have a break, and then it's open to all of you to throw out anything you want to throw out. So I want to start with a small story. I have many stories, but a small story. In one of our retreats in Klil, in the north, where, as you heard, I'm a few kilometers from the Lebanese border, and rockets have been going over until there was a ceasefire with Lebanon. A girl came to me and said, I feel so beautiful to meditate, to be with olive trees, to walk, to feel my inner soul. to feel my awareness, my presence in this life, a blessing. And then I hear the rocket or I hear a boom of artillery and I feel totally collapsed. I feel like a small frightened child. And what's the meeting point between those two places? And it's indeed a dilemma, I think, that all of us in different ways are going to feel. In different ways, we are going to feel. And I have to say that the Buddha, the earliest teaching of the Buddha, addressed this so directly and clearly in the Four Noble Truths, if you like, the classic ground teaching of the whole of Dharma. There are two things that I want to pick out right now. One is that the Buddha said, suffering is not just something to complain about, feel miserable, life is a problem, despair, and drowning in difficulty, including rockets and war. Suffering is a wake-up call. So that's a really important in the First Noble Truth. Suffering is an invitation, not the end of the road just to feel catastrophe and all the rest, but wake up. And that's very important when their suffering is so severe, like the people starving in Gaza right now, the war that's being fought right now. It's a wake up. It has to be a wake up for us, not just a place of misery. So that's the first thing. And the second thing in the Four Noble Truths is that only two of the Four Noble Truths are meditation practice. Three are wisdom, which is about our relationship to ourself and the world and the universe. And three are action, how we are in the world, ethics, how we speak, how we act, how we think, what's our intention, how we live. So the Eightfold Path only has two, meditation, and three are about how we are in the world. So the Buddha was defining that right at the beginning, that the whole of the Dharma is a life practice. It's not, we can't reduce it to a meditation practice or anything limited. And of course, the Buddha himself was a real activist. He was going around North India endlessly trying to change the way the governments work, and he stopped two wars, but he couldn't stop a war that was devastating, that killed all his people. And when the monks said, why don't you stop that? Your people are being killed, are being slaughtered. There's a massacre right now. The Buddha said, the karma is too strong. I can't deal with that one. So there's a certain humility there as well. I can't deal with that one. And it's just very beautiful teaching that he could stop wars. He changed Ashoka, the greatest Indian emperor ever, from a cruel, violent dictator to an empire of Dharma, of kindness. And when he managed, or his people, or his monks managed to convince Ashoka to have an empire based on Dharma, the empire got more successful, bigger, more peaceful. So we need to see the Dharma as integral. And there are two aspects that I want to sort of throw out right now to be careful about. And one is, we have to be careful not to get caught in idealism of the spiritual path. And it's easy to get caught in that. And somehow the Dharma then becomes a kind of almost an escape from reality. And it's a place of idealism. I hear it again and again from people who have been, in a way, very engaged with it, especially non-dual practice. And then they come home and they get angry and tired and upset at the way the world is. And we have to be careful not to get lost in spirituality, is what I'm saying. But we have to be careful not to get lost in the other side, that all the Buddha taught is to fight against injustice. No, the Buddha taught, and the Dharma teaches, ultimacy as well. The big picture, the universal, not just the personal. So they go together. And in my mind, the most beautiful quote of Padmasambhava was about this. The quote is very simply, keep your view as wide as the sky, but be careful about your actions and how they are, like as if you're sieving flour, fine flour. Be careful about your actions. And the two go together. So I want to tell a small story that one time I was standing outside the house here in the village, which is on a hilltop, and there was a sunset and it was beautiful. And all of a sudden, between me and the sunset, rockets appeared from they're interceptors coming from Haifa area. And they came between me and the sunset. Rockets appeared and then exploded with a big bang. And I looked at them and I understood, or I felt, it's not really an understanding with the mind, it's an appreciation, that the sky doesn't care a damn about rockets. The sky cannot be damaged by rockets. But at the same time, the tears that we, and I personally, cry tears at the rockets and the suffering that are being caused right now. I cry, I feel for the children in Gaza, I feel for the people in the Lebanon, I feel for the Israeli soldiers that don't know that they're also part of the same picture, that drop bombs on refugee camps. I cry for them, I cry for the ones fighting, the ones being killed, the ones that are, and the total unnecessary suffering. And that's the humanness in us. And I think that we need to kind of allow the humanness to be part of our world and cry and laugh as human beings and feel the pain and know that the sky is endless and the sky is bigger than all of that. And the sky doesn't care about rockets. I'm joking, of course, a little bit, but that's my right.
Stephen,
Yes.
when you talk about the sky, are you having in your mind the sky mind, that our mind is like the sky? Is that what is in the background?
It is, but I didn't express it because I want it to touch people as an image wherever they take it. The physical sky doesn't mind, and the inner sky that we have, our consciousness, which is our Buddha mind, is also sky-like. And I'll say it in another way, our task in the Dharma is a dialogue between Buddha nature and human nature. It's not getting stuck on one or the other. It's the dialogue between Buddha nature and human nature. And the Buddha nature is impersonal. It has no limits. It's the consciousness that is the sky, like, as you say. And the human nature is the conditioned mind, which we are expressing as a person and the personhood. And we need the dialogue between the two. And as we practice, that dialogue gets more and more subtle and refined. And we find that the human nature has less power to cause us and others pain and difficulty. But the dialogue, it's not denying our human nature and not putting Buddha nature beyond, it's nothing to do with me. It's allowing both to talk to each other. I think it's in the Heart Sutta. The Heart Sutra is emptiness and form in dialogue. So meditation, in my mind, is one of the tools we need to be able to expand this dialogue between the Buddha nature and the human nature, but it needs us not to deny any of it. And here it's important that we have an understanding of meditation as allowing, deeply allowing the voices in us to appear and be expressed and to flower. There's a beautiful quote from Rumi, and the quote says, "Why are we afraid of silence? If we spiral into its void, its emptiness, we will hear the thunder of the voices that we have been longing to hear for so long." So meditation, in my mind, is a space where we allow the voices that we're longing to hear, including our difficulty and including our big self, including the voice that is beyond the me and the voice that's very much me and my life and my issues. So it's very much meditation is a very wise way of clarity of who we are and allowing those voices. And they're really, really important, because mindfulness in the Pali language is remembering. Sati is translated as remembering. I don't think mindfulness is a very good translation of the word sati from the original Pali text. It's remembering. And that's really important, because if we remember our big self, that is an answer to so many dilemmas that we face. So, by the way, when we have questions and answers with all of you, be very happy. But when we start that session after the break, I'm going to ask you some questions, all of you, to kind of absorb some questions, which I think we need to kind of have out there. But one place, for example, mindfulness as remembering ourselves, it's really clear that we need help. It's not something that we can suddenly just hear all those voices. We get up in the morning, we turn on the radio, we make a cup of coffee, and then all the voices of our existence, including the Buddha within, suddenly appear. It's not like that. It needs a process, it needs help, it needs a retreat, like what you're doing now. And there's a very nice word, viveka, which is a meaning, two things, meaning let go, renounce the load of input, which is sweeping us away. We get swept away. If you think about how much is coming in to you, to all of us, through the media, through what's going on in the world, through our relationship in the street, through our parents, society, etc. It's a huge, our attention is constantly stolen. And we need help to come back to what's important and to remember ourselves. And very often, and maybe you will be asking me, how do I act in possible decisions to take? And one of the main answer is remember your big self, and the actions will come from there. So viveka is a good word from the Pali canon. It means let go of what's unnecessary and bring the attention back to what's important, what makes sense. In the English word, discrimination. I hope I'm not talking too fast for the translation, by the way. But the English word discrimination is very important. Viveka means that as well. It means if we bring our attention back to who we are, we will be able to distinguish what's important, what matters. So one thing I want to raise, and I will actually, when we practice meditation together, And I'm going to just talk for a few more minutes, that's all. But one thing that is important is that meditation is not only listening to the voices that we perhaps long to hear from ourselves, it is actually developing powers. It's not switching off. It's not closing down. It's opening up. I've written a book called The 5 Powers, which you can find in Amazon. It's expressing a teaching called Bala, which is in the tradition, which is that meditation is developing powers that we need to navigate through a kind of impossible life. And how are we going to do that? We need powers. And one of them, for example, is steadiness, is a sense that we are on the ground. And I have to say that the 2 years when the rockets were coming over to our village, I and my wife, we didn't leave. We decided, here we are, karma put us here, we're going to stay. We're not going to go to Europe, we're going to stay here with the rockets coming over and the cannon firing from the hills all around, and feed the animals and so on. But we did quite a lot of things to have a sense of safety, of stability, and of life. And all of you, by the way, it's something we can talk about more. It's worth remembering that the Buddha said, if you connect with the truth of this moment, which is, in our case, every morning I was digging the garden, I was feeding the animals, I was looking after my chickens, I was walking in nature, and it gave a ground, the truth of this moment, and breathing and being with the body and being with the presence of this being in the middle of life. The Buddha said, connect to the truth of this moment, and you will be an island in the stormy seas. And it's a very important, it's Satya Dharma, the truth of Dharma, which is something I think we can talk about, which is that the truth of life is the intimacy with life, the touch of life, this breath, this tree, this pain, this earth, this sky above. It connects you to what's actually really happening. And then you'll find yourself steady in the middle of an impossible situation because of that. And what's the opposite of that that's making us unsteady is fabrication, is the sense of stories that we build, the sense of views that we get stuck with, belief systems that don't really help us, blame of them, blame of us. Instead of that, just a deep listening to what's happening right now gives us a sense of steadiness. And of course, many other powers, maybe we'll talk about that later, but one more that I want to mention, and I think with that I'm going to stop, is kindness. The power of kindness. It is not, compassion isn't something up in the sky and just the Dalai Lama has it, and it's a language of the old-time Buddhists. Every one of us has compassion. We couldn't exist without it, because it's our relationship. When we look after ourselves, when we look after our children, when we feel someone needs us and there's a response, we have someone is wounded or hurt and we automatically go there. It comes from a goodness in our heart. Compassion is very, very basic. And sometimes we feel we lose it, but actually it can never be lost. There is a beautiful poem written by a Palestinian poet called Naomi Sahab Niai. And the poem is called kindness, and it just finishes with this sentence: only kindness makes sense. And it's so right that kindness makes sense. It allows life. It allows things to be possible. So, yes, we can feel anger. We can feel fear. We can feel sadness. It's all possible and it will happen. But there is a kind heart inside there. And if we don't project our fear, for example, into stories of blame and of victim and of aggressor and of, the projection of the emotions into story creates a lot of problems as a person and as a society. But kindness is very, very basic. It's our ability to listen to the calls that we experience every day. Our calls of ourselves, because kindness doesn't have a border. It's calls of what we need, what people close to us, and what people far away also, the other side, are asking us. Kindness has no boundaries. So it's really very, very basic and something that we could, I think, deeply pay attention to and see it as a power that comes in meditation. Final sentence. I once had a session in Oxford with Professor Mark Williams, who developed a therapeutic technique based on mindfulness called MBCT, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. And I went to talk to his team there, and we had a really good talk together. And I said to Mark, you've developed a very protocol-based system of using mindfulness as a therapy, very structured with reporting and step-by-step. Where is the compassion in that? And Mark said, the whole thing doesn't work without it, which is a lovely answer. And I think that we could see, if we can see even meditation in the simplest way of coming back to ourselves, we can see that as an act of kindness. It's our responsibility how to live in this world. And it's an act of kindness to ourselves and to others. So that's all I'm going to say from my side, and I'm really ready. You can throw anything you want, Lama Tillman, and then I think we'll have a meditation, but the timing is yours. So
Yes,
you
yes.
say when to stop, then I'll happily guide a meditation, then we'll have a break, and then we'll have some question and answer.
Stephen, before the meditation, which will come next, tell us a little bit about this dialogue between human nature and Buddha nature. It seems to be this to talk about human nature seems to be a wonderful, very wise and compassionate way of relating to what otherwise would sometimes be called in the teachings the confused mind, the emotional mind, and so on. Let us hear a little bit more about this dialogue and how much human nature and Buddha nature are actually different or sometimes same or one as the essence of the other. I would love to know more about this.
Sure. Let me give an example of where it's not working, okay? First of all, to the opposite. When in October the 7th, when there was really devastating violence against civilians, mostly in the south of Israel, and many people got killed, the response to that was anger, fear, revenge. When that voice of anger, fear, and revenge took over the whole personal and social sphere, the reactivity had devastating results. So that reactivity is not dialogue between Buddha nature and human nature. What would have been different when human nature says there is threat, there is fear? I meet the fear as it is. The fear is an expression of protection, of the fragility of life. Let me meet that fear now. How can I be with that fear in a more a kind of intimate way? And where is it taking me? And what can happen out of that that will help things, help myself and others, including protection? So at that moment, the fear becomes not a problem, but a truth. If we feel afraid, the fear can be an opening or a closing. If the fear is an opening, it will open to our vulnerability. It will open to a place that perhaps we should pay attention to. It will open to a bigger story that is our, as I say, our fragility, our closeness to death, our sense of protection, and it will open voices that underneath as well, like we're part of all of life. All of life, born in a body, will be also afraid when they're being threatened. And somehow or other, the honesty of fear by itself opens many doors. From there can be a wiser action than just reaction and more violence. So looking at fear as a very extreme example, you can see that fear has many layers and levels. And underneath, there's a deep existential level of the survival mind that is vulnerable and shaky and temporary. And we can be with that, and it will give a sense of truth. So that's our human nature. I'll give you a personal example in my own experience. I think I mentioned it when you were here. In the 2 years of all these rockets, I've been pretty steady all the time. But there was a time, I remember it very, very clearly, in September, after nearly 2 years, 20 months of all of this, when I just suddenly felt really triggered. And every bang made my whole nervous system go, ah! And my dogs also, ah! And I realized that my nervous system was just triggered. Someone with a motorbike on the road would do the same to me. And I realized I'd lost equanimity and I needed to bring it back. And so allowing the triggering to be an invitation and not a problem of the human nature to say, Stephen, there's something you need to do here. And I did two things. One is many hours of meditation on equanimity. And the second thing is realizing that every rocket is like the hit of a Zen master that's telling me, wake up. This is life, death happening right now. I think that's quite a good example of the human nature that is an invitation to open up, and then it becomes a dialogue with the Buddha nature. It's the invitation to look, I would say, at the dimensions of this human experience, not as closed place to be inside a box, but to see it as being, in the end, there isn't, I have to say, it's language. Where is human nature stop and Buddha nature begin? I can't tell you. Maybe you can. They're really, in a way, joined together.
Definitely, I cannot tell. That's why I was curious about your answer. Stephen, the time has come that we would enjoy very much to meditate with you. If you can guide us in a 10-15 minute meditation, something like this, you will feel yourself how long feels right.
Okay. Happily. Okay, so wherever you are, I can see all of you folk in the hall. And I just want to repeat what I said before, the blessing of a retreat. Let it talk to you. Let it feel that it touches us, that we're supporting each other here in touching a place, opening places in us, giving us a sense of safety, a sense of encouragement, a sense that there is a shared space that we can feel relaxed and at ease. And feel it even if you're in your home listening on screen. The screen is just a window to Sangha. It can't stop Dharma. So just feel that you are there with Sangha anyway, never mind that you're in a computer in your own house. So getting that sense of a place of rest right now, a place of being held. And we can continue with that place of rest. If we wish to close our eyes, we can do that, or keep them open as we wish. And this place of rest is a place of letting go what was and dropping into the fullness of this moment. The fullness of presence. And it's not a project. It's nothing to be done. It's more like dropping into, relaxing into where we already are. It's a movement of welcoming. Being welcomed. Life is saying, come. Welcome. And there will be all kinds of experiences in this moment through the senses. There'll be sounds. There'll be thoughts, maybe. There'll be touch. There may be colors, pictures. Let's just allow it all of it, as presence, the gifts of this moment right now, and to be aware that all that's coming in is known by our consciousness. Our awareness is there, present receiving life. I suggest that slowly, slowly we can begin to a little bit narrow the focus. I suggest that we pay attention now to the weight of the body on the earth. We're sitting on the ground, we're sitting on a chair, and we feel the earth is pulling us. We feel the pressure of our legs on the ground, of our body pressing down, and the earth is holding us. And I think our relationship to gravity, to the touch with the earth, to the pull of the earth, is a very good place to experience letting go. Let go, surrender, let the earth hold us. I think it's helpful to us also in any situation in life where we feel stress or we feel difficulty. Just connect to the earth that is holding us, the infinite earth. Without resistance, we just let go. And from that place, let's go into the bodily life, the life of the body, maybe the breathing. It's also a place, in a way, of surrender. We allow the breath coming and going. We're not controlling the breath, we're just breathing naturally. We might experience it as the rising and falling of the tummy. Again, let it take us. Let the breath breathe us or breathe through us. Like waves on the ocean, we're just being carried by each breath. So already with our connection with the earth and our connection with bodily life and the breathing, we are actually learning the power of trust, the power of allowing things to be the way they are. We maybe didn't describe it like that, but just to be aware that the meditation so far has also touching the power of allowing, letting things be the way they are. no resistance. And maybe we can do that with the thoughts, allowing the mind to do what it knows. Pictures, images, thoughts. Allowing them to come and to go, to appear by themselves and disappear. And again, maybe this helps us to have a different relationship with our mind, our thought, the constructions in our mind, as being natural, coming and going. We allow them. We are witnessing them. And then we can come back to the body. Sensations of the lived body, touch, feelings, pleasant, unpleasant feelings. The body is telling us what it's like to be in a body. We allow that, allow those voices. And feel our closeness, our intimacy with the life of the body right now. It can be anywhere, maybe the hands touching, or maybe the breath again if we feel right with that, or maybe the pressure of the body on the chair, on the floor. The body is telling us what it's like to be in a lived body. And we are witnessing that, we are knowing that there is an awareness that's receiving what it's like to be in a body. And again, that requires trust. I'm there for you, my body. I'm listening to you, my body. I am ready for what you're telling me. It has trust and kindness right there in such simple experiences. And there's something that is very basic in which we celebrate the life of this body, and actually celebrating the life of this mind, even though it sometimes gives us trouble. Can we just allow the lived body-mind, the fullness of this life, in this moment of silence, to receive all the messages, as in the poem by Rumi, that we are longing to hear the messages that are coming up. Allowing the body to talk to us, allowing the mind to talk to us. We are open, allowing, receiving, witnessing. So we'll just take 1 or 2 minutes of quiet, just like that. So let's finish with a small blessing and an intention. Blessing and intention is that as I'm listening to this life that's flowing through me right now, this body, this heart, and this mind, when I go out in the world, I will listen the same way to the life that I meet of others, people, animals, the land, the sky. Okay, let's take a deep breath, and slowly, slowly we can open the eyes.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Stephen, for this meditation, for your instructions. We will take a little break now. Oh, it's almost, you know, we landed almost perfectly here, 11 o'clock our time. And Ilona, can you switch your sound off? We will take 20 minutes of time, and the way we count, it will be 25 after. So 25 after 12, your time, Stephen. We will meet again.
Okay.
And then it's all up to improvisation. I will be taking care, moderating a little bit from my side. Tobias and Frank, they are looking at the screen behind. They see what's happening in the chat, and we will be able to let people speak directly to you. And we will
That's fine.
We will ask questions, and you might ask questions to us.
Happily. And maybe we'll finish with another meditation towards the end before your lunch that will just sort of close with a small guided meditation as well. So I'd be very happy. So 25 past 11 your time, we'll dive in.
Great. We do like this.
Into the ocean again. Yeah, happily. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye for now.
Stephen, can you hear me already? Yes.
I can, yes.
Okay, super. What I'm doing right now, I'm showing online your website, stephenfulder.com, with your wonderful books. This one, which you mentioned, The 5 Powers, which I find extremely interesting, and I will buy it myself. And I'm not able to read Hebrew, but this one here, How to Thrive in Hard Times, Mindfulness in a War Zone. Is this your latest one?
Yes, it is, yes.
This was written recently.
This was revised recently. It's actually a revised version of an earlier book called What's Beyond Mindfulness. And and it really is just rewritten, or partly rewritten or revised, to take into account the emphasis on what's going on these days.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Look, this is very helpful for us. Tobias, can you write into the chat the website of Stephen? It's www.stephenfulder.com. Yeah, so that everyone can have it in the chat. And the others you see here also, there's a donation button. And this should be a way to say thank you to Stephen for, well, I heard very positive feedback, Stephen. So we are really, really happy to have you here with us, and I'm thrilled at hearing questions and answers. I will be slightly moderating in the background. We will be going a little bit back and forth between people here in the room and people in the chat. So we are prepared with microphones in the room and prepared to put people loud directly talking from their home.
That's great. And if there's something in chat, I'm not going to open the chat myself because I have to pay attention to you and not the little boxes here. So if there's something in chat, can you please read it that I should relate to? Please read it to me.
Exactly, Stephen. I'm doing the same as you. I'm not opening my chat because it takes away my attention from the immediate communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is one question from Barbara, the translator, and
Yes.
she is asking, with big self, you seem to mean more our spacious heart, not our inflated ego, right?
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. The language, you know. But yes, indeed, it's the sense that we have, the intuition that I'm not a small person in a box, as a conditioned person. So it's certainly not the inflated ego, but a sense of the bigness of being, I would say, that we are, the big being that we are. If that can find a German translation for that, I don't know.
Okay, let's have a look. Is there anybody here in the room? Johannes, you're the first one my eyes fall onto, but I need the help of you guys. Rike, if you can have an eye on who is lifting the hand.
Hello, thank you so much for the teaching and insight. It was really inspiring and touching. And I'm really thankful that Lama Lundrup already asked about the dialogue between the human or part and the Buddha nature, the human nature and the Buddha nature, because that was also what inspired me most. Yeah, it really touched me because I got a sense that there are these voices in us, or the things that long to be also seen or given attention to. And your description is a really nice way to integrate those without falling for the patterns or the things inside us that, yeah, if we just blindly listen to them, that they're not healthy for us. But this dialogue between those parts in us that long to be seen or heard and the Buddha part, that was really inspiring. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's not really a question.
It's worth remembering, how to put it, there isn't, in thousands of talks of the Buddha, in the Pali Canon, the word evil doesn't appear. There isn't evil in the Pali Canon, but there's plenty of words that describe how we misuse the powers of awareness and heart. And delusion, lots. Layers and layers and layers of delusion. And we see it. I mean, I have to say that it's tragic, the amount of delusion that make people suffer right now. And it needs to be seen. And then in a way, it gives us a sense of what is our responsibility is to try and help people cut through delusion. The delusion, for example, that if I go and fight Israel has never been more insecure than ever before, with enemies everywhere and fighting more or less everybody, Iran and Lebanon and the Palestinians and so on and so on and so on. Totally insecure, with most of the country going into the army, all in the name of security. As if that's going to solve the problem and make us secure. It's totally blindness on what is the nature of security. I know that's challenging, and some of you are welcome to disagree with me, but still I see that as a big delusion, that in the name of security we sow seeds of insecurity and of sow seeds for the future of more conflict.
Where do the questions continue? Here in the room? Okay, it is.
Hello.
Hi,
First,
yeah, I see you.
okay. First, I want to thank you for speaking so clearly. I very enjoyed you talking. And I have a question. How is it possible that Israeli politicians feel entitled to act in this way, considering a Jewish history, the Holocaust? Jewish history always was tragic, and I feel very sad about this. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel sad just as much. And I have to say that there's many, many beautiful people in this country, in Israel I'm talking about, but of course also Palestinians, who are really, really beautiful people with insight and know very clearly that this way is a total disaster. But we are captured by small, afraid, conditioned minds of right-wing politicians that see life so contracted that they're reactive, they're not considering what I was saying now to Simon, in answer to Simon. They don't consider the seeds that they are sowing. Just in it's all autocrats. So you could say, you could have psychological explanations for that there is trauma carried in the society and it's expressed as a disease. And then like the pus, when you have a kind of a disease inside and it bursts out some place in the body. So these are expressing a deeper disease. I think it's a utter tragedy that the suffering of the Jewish people, but also the bigness, the greatness of the Jewish people has fallen down so dramatically into this place. I think it's an utter tragedy. One Palestinian, I've been working for many, many years with Palestinians, and one Palestinian said, I can understand that the Jews came out of a kind of the burning building, like jump out of a window of a burning building after the Holocaust and so on. And they jumped out of the window and they broke my leg. But instead of saying sorry, they said, oh, okay, now I'm going to break your other leg, which is a tragic kind of humor, dark humor. And I think I want to jump to just one moment. This is a wake-up call about the human situation that says, wake up. We can't carry on like this, because if we do, we're going to go back into the same place again and again and again. And it's certainly not Jews that that are doing the same thing. People that suffer make others suffer. It's so human, and yet we need to, it has to be a wake-up call. So my view is all of us here listening to this, we have a responsibility. Whenever we meet that smallness of reactivity, of fear expressed as anger, of violence, of blaming, we need to kind of say, wait a minute, what are the seeds I am sowing? And then we know we're not in the same place as the extreme right wing. I have to say it's extreme. The most extreme right wing that are now running the Israeli government only have 10 votes, 10 seats out of 120. But they are so strong and the voice is so strong that they kind of really direct the whole government into a disaster, into an utter disaster. So it's tragic and very dark times.
Dear Stephen, we really do need to know a little bit about these beautiful Israelis and Palestinians who since years work together. And I know you have been involved for 30 years already. So give us a little summary of what are the possibilities on the ground level where you are active to to connect between Israelis and Palestinians?
Well, I have to say that it's still going on. It needs a lot more courage now than it ever did before. But for all the years, there's been a lot of effort by peace-oriented Palestinians and Israelis to keep the dialogue going as almost like sacred. It's sacred that we talk to each other. It's sacred that we keep going, even if things feel very, very dark. So we were just one organization based on Dharma, many others based on all kinds of humanistic and just kindness. Many, many small organizations are doing amazing things on the ground until now. For example, Rabbis for Human Rights going out and stopping settlers from uprooting Palestinian trees and killing Palestinians, standing together. I was just in Tel Aviv and there was 5 young Israeli girls, young girls, I mean 20s, holding pictures of Palestinian children. And they were in Tel Aviv in the main street. Palestinian children that had been killed. And as they were standing there, people passing by, some said, "You're great," and some said, "I hope the police lock you up, you're traitors." And at the same time, I heard that in Gaza, there were Palestinians holding up pictures of Israeli children that were killed as well, which takes even more courage. So there's always been an undercurrent of dialogue and small groups and so on. And in the Galilee where I live, there is a working, living relationship between Jews and Arabs and Druze that has now been 40, 50 years. And they're people living together, working together and being okay, even despite all what's going on around. And so it's actually, there's a model in the Galilee of Jews and Arabs, you can say Palestinian, Israeli Palestinians, that are actually living together perfectly okay. Not perfect, 100%, but after the October the 7th, for 3 months, the Israeli Dharma community were offering 3 times a day open Zoom room with guiding teachers for people to join and get support and insight and dialogue and meditations 3 times a day for 3 months. There's a lot of effort being put into it by the Dharma community and by other people. But I have to say that we're faced, like in America with Trump, we have to face the powers of the I would say fear-dominated, insecure, a mass of people supporting the right wing is very, very strong. And sometimes you really feel the voices are not of the peace-oriented are not strong enough, are just on the edge. But it's important that we're all there because we're like holding up a candle. And at the right time, maybe there'll be the possibility of change. I have to say one thing that is very important in peace work because it's very relevant to all of us in wherever we are, Germany, Israel, America, doesn't matter, because it's really important that we understand this. We did for many years a peace program with Palestinians where every month we went over to sit with Palestinians, Israelis and Palestinians sitting together. The workshops were called The Transformation of Suffering. They were the first truth of the noble truth of the Buddha, which is suffering is a trigger for education, for learning, and it can be used in a way for transformation. So the core of this workshop was 1 hour where a Palestinian and an Israeli were sat together and talk about each other's life. How is your family? What do I do when I get up in the morning? What are my pains? Where am I struggling? Where is my suffering? Where is my joy? When 1 hour of these dyads was finished, you could say peace was made then. It wasn't about coming to conclusions, ideas, concepts of peace. It was direct, listening to the other deeply and get a sense that the Palestinian and the Israeli are one. There isn't really a difference. It's listening to a Palestinian and feeling, I would say, put it, the we includes them. Use we instead of just we Israelis or we Palestinians. The we is both. That's, you could say, peace is made in that way. So it's very important that we all know that from the Dharma point of view, peace is made if we listen to the other and see that we include them, not exclude them. And it's very, very easy to go on different sides. I'm against Palestine, against Israel, against this, against that. Wait a minute. Let's listen to each other. And we together made peace. It's just a good direction to remember.
Are you ready for a question from the chat, from the people participating on Zoom? Maybe Tobias, you can choose. Ja, wenn ihr könnt ihr die freischalten. You can give them a voice. And then the speaker mode will show the face usually.
Okay, then we would ask Barbara to speak.
When Barbara speaks, we have to wait that she can then translate herself in.
No, now is Simon is translating now at the
okay.
moment, so
Okay.
Barbara can speak freely.
Good.
Oops. Hello. I'm very impressed by your presentation, your activities, and your attitude. Bless you. I'm a psychotherapist and would like to understand and apply better. You mentioned that during some time you found yourself triggered and your body in trauma reaction, and that you were able to recover with the help of your practice. As a body therapist, my usual assumption is that the connection between body and mind is usually such that the bottom-up impact is much stronger than the top-down. As a trauma therapist, my usual assumption is that present safety is precondition to do trauma work. Could you share more how you were actually able, with your practice, to become grounded in spite of these obstacles?
Thank you. It's a lovely question, Barbara, and I appreciate it. As ever, it's not super simple, the answer, but I'll do my best. Firstly, something I already said in this meeting, which is the ground of behavior, and actually you did mention it because of safety, but I put it in another way. Our belonging to life, even life, death, the sense of belonging to life was really strong for me, and made sure that I walked every day, that I was digging in the garden, that I was hugging my grandchildren, and I was, sort of allowing life not just to find a safe space, but allowing life to take me. And that was a ground that, so I did that even more when I felt triggered. Secondly, in terms of meditation, my meditation is very much as connected with Dzogchen practice, or Dzogchen and Mahamudra. I don't see much difference. And the Dzogchen Mahamudra practice would say that the mind as an unlimited field of awareness in a way covers everything. So I could feel that a little bit the boundaries of that made me, the triggering happened. So this was up from up down. It wasn't from down up. You mentioned up down, but this was from up down. I don't know if up or down is the right word, but something about the endlessness of awareness that doesn't have attributes or qualities, but is just there as a ground of knowing anything at all. I had much more. I used to then practice maybe 4 hours every day on that kind of awareness, which is unlimited, it has no attributes, which is the ground of it all, and it restored equanimity. And the third thing was in trauma, I think it also needs love. And the love, you can call it trauma, but it's reactivity. The love looks at the body and says, it's okay. You're doing your job. I forgive you. Don't worry about it. You can be triggered by a motorbike on the hill next. You're just doing your job. Like I relate to my cats and my dog. You're doing your job, body. Thank you, but a little bit exaggerated. But you can let go now. It's fine. It's a kind of almost like renunciation. Now, there's a Buddhist concept of renunciation, which means this I don't need. So there is a sense that the triggering, thank you, body, but I don't really need your triggering right now. It's fine with that. You can be fine. Thank you for doing it, but it's a bit exaggerated. It's kind of, renunciation it's called nekama in the Pali language, and it is a practice. So all those things together did the job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Let's have a question here from the audience. Who is next? Rike, have a look. Oh, no one hands up? Yes, here, Katharina. Oh, you saw someone? Yeah. Yes, please, you choose. Yeah, Anja, come.
Yeah, thank you very much at first, obviously, for your really very impressive way of talking. And really, I do so admire the simplicity that is showing through your words and through your, as the lady before me said, attitude. And I just wanted to say something about Israelis and the polarization that's going on. You have to be either on this side or on that side. And there is a couple, Ayelet and Misha, I don't know whether I pronounced them correctly, and they, I've been following them for years now. They do handcrafted prayer wheels, and they live in Israel, and they do them, they fill them with nanofilm, with prayers. And it's Muslim prayers or Christian prayers or Jewish prayers or Jewish prayers, whatever you choose. They fill it, they do handcraft the prayer wheels and they fill it with these prayers. And I really so admire them and I love the idea. So I think this is what I feel is so important, that you do not get into polarization, and that you do not let also your mind be blown away by this, because there are still many people who really do the right thing in their own little space, and sometimes we get so carried away. We think everything's going down now and everything is breaking apart, but actually there are many more people who should stick together and share their thoughts, their good thoughts about it. And yeah, and I really admire their work. I just wanted to say that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. It just reminds me of something that I wanted to say. Two things. One is, there is a tendency to take sides. Of course, the Dharma doesn't have that as a kind of basis, sides. Where is the side? Where is it? You know, where's the end? I'm up to here and that's it. The whole idea of sides is a concept. It's not in real life. Life is one. But it's worth saying that I read a poem the other day that says it very beautifully, that we can be, in these days, when there's such intense suffering going on in Gaza, especially in Gaza right now, then there's one side we need to be on, which is the side of our humanity. And that's it. And I know from the Yiddish, probably it's in German, to be a Mensch. I know in Yiddish it means a human being, to be on the side of being a human being. So I just want to say that because there's a tendency to keep taking sides. And the second thing I want to say about what you just mentioned is anything we do, the law of karma says nothing is lost. Everything we do, weaving prayers into vessels, it goes in the world. We don't know where it's going to go, and we don't know its effect. So there is a sense that the law of karma would encourage us because nothing is lost. It's all going out there and making waves in the world in some way or another. And it's very important that we kind of do remember that nothing is lost. And we can't measure the results of our actions, but we can feel the world. This is what I can do.
Thank you so much. We give a voice to Tobias from the chat, and then it will be Katharina here in the room.
Hi, Tobias.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Stephen. Yeah, if I can ask a question.
Sure.
Thank you very much. It's very inspiring listening to you and about your experiences and everything. And I have a question because for me it's especially inspiring seeing that you like the Dharma is so important for you, and then also you say you're an activist and you talk about social engagement and political engagement and so forth, and that resonates a lot with me because for me it's the same. I feel like without Dharma or some kind of inner path, we will never arrive at lasting solutions in the outer world. That's so clear. But then also, if we just engage in that and leave politics to the politicians, so to say, then the world will be a mess. Like it needs people who engage with the world and step up for solutions. And I've been involved in both, in Dharma and doing retreats and in these circles, but also in activism, climate activism specifically the last years. And sometimes it feels a bit, I think I feel a bit frustrated because I feel like the worlds are somehow apart a bit. Like there's people in the activist movement who are not at all interested in kind of inner development. And then in the Dharma community, sometimes there's this focus on the inner work and some kind of resistance to go to any activism or social engagement. And I somehow can understand it on the rational level, like where you come from, and if you're focused on one thing, it seems it's the most important thing. But still, it creates some kind of frustration sometimes, feeling that, you know, why can't it come together more closely? It's both is so important, and we need people on the streets. We need people doing the inner work. So I wonder if you've also faced similar frustration sometimes, or if you at all see yourself in a role to bring these two worlds together, or it's just you do your thing and other people do their thing. Yeah, if you can share experience about that.
Sure. I have an echo in my mind actually from Lama Tillman, who said in one of the talks he gave in Israel, samsara is not fixable, meaning we are not in charge of this whole big picture, that the causes and conditions of our experience are so vast that really we are not we can't control things in the way we think they should be. So we have to, in a way, let go of the pressure for things to be in a certain way. And instead of that, collect all the resources that we have and say, this is what I can do right now. So for you, Tobias or Stephen, this, or I noticed Gabriella's here, and thank you for joining. Gabriella has also invited me to be, have a session in a more political European Union form. So for Gabriella, for example, or for you, Tobias, you will say, I am ready. This, for me, politics is an opportunity to express my voice. But for those that are not able to go in that language and in that group, they will have to do something else. And that's their voice. So I really believe we need to find our voice. And then where our voice we feel called to give our voice is good enough. Instead of saying it should be there or it should be other. Indeed, it can be a feeling of frustration. I don't personally feel frustrated, but I have to say one time I felt after October the 7th, I think it was a month after that, when I felt, I would say, the closest I can remember in years to what you might call depression. And it was just a sense of down. And I looked at that place and I realized that I felt lonely. In a way, what you said, Tobias, the we language was so strong. The whole language of us, and them, and we have to get them, and we have to invade them, and we have to attack them. The strength of that voice was so strong. I felt there's no place for me in that. And I felt kind of a sense of being lost a bit. And then after a while, I realized the only thing that I can do right now is to make sure that my voice is heard. And if tomorrow someone comes from somewhere and says, Stephen, do go to the parliament. Okay, I will go there. Until someone asks me that, no one asked me to go to the parliament, so I'll go where I can. I'll go to the Palestinian territories and sit with Palestinian professionals or professors or farmers or teachers. And that's what I can do. So I think what I'm saying is, let go of control that things should be a certain way because it's not in our hands. And secondly, listen where we are called and say, that's what's calling me, I can do that. And if you feel, Tobias, a bit depressed by the gap between engaged Dharma and political action and so on, be with that place of, check it out, that place of being a bit depressed or frustrated. Just allow that voice, but also let it go and say, look, life is bigger than me. It's inviting me to do this right now. And that's what I can do. And I will do that, and I will come home and sleep well at night. It's like it's the invitations of life. I was really, Lama Tilman went to teach Palestinians in Ramallah. It's an invitation by life that he could do that. And who knows where that will go? Who knows? But that's the call. And as I say, if the parliament of the German parliament would call Lama Tilman, or the Israeli parliament, Knesset, would call Stephen and say, we want to hear you. Unbelievable. It won't happen. But I'll be there. I wouldn't wait 2 minutes. I'd be straight there. So we answer the call that life offers us. And I just think it's worth remembering that.
Great,
you
thank you,
again.
Stephen.
Katharina.
Yes, thank you. I'm very impressed. And the idea of witnessing is an idea that inspired me. And you were talking about witnessing in relationship with your body, with meditation, with other people, with the world, with my idea about the girls you saw in Israel and the people you saw in Palestine with the pictures is also kind of witnessing. And I would be happy if you say a bit more about your idea of witnessing.
I think witnessing is quite a good language to really feel familiar with a territory which is going in a higher level or in more intense level into the non-dual place of Mahamudra or non-duality. It doesn't matter from where. The Dzogchen or Advaita. The witnessing is, if you like, a step towards a bigger view which will include the details of life, but it will at the same time have a place where you are present with those details and bigger than them. So the witnessing, to my mind, is the place of being aware of the details of life, but being bigger than them, not being swept away by them. There's a beautiful image in Nisargadatta Maharaj, the great Advaita non-dual teacher, who said that the witness has two faces. One face is to the infinite, and the other face is to the details of our conditioned mind, of the forms in life, such as this person, this thought, this moment, this experience, this happiness, this joy, this pain. So the witnessing is, in a way, the joining of the two, the face that looks at the infinite and the face that looks at the forms. And in a way, it's what I was saying, that human nature and Buddha nature, in some way or other, witnessing is the bridge between the two, that's why it's so important. So in a practical level, I remember there was a Zen activist, a New York Zen pioneer called Bernie Glassman, and he wrote a book on basically the witness. He said there's three things in Buddhist activism or engaged Dharma. One is not knowing. The second is bearing witness. And the third is compassion, as far as I remember. Bearing witness is like, that's what I can do. I can see what's going on. My commitment is to see what's going on, to witness things. I think where it gets difficult for us is where the witnessing, we witness ourselves when we get into the small mind. And we do. It's illusion to expect that we're not going to be there. We're going to be blaming. We're going to be angry about things. We're going to have views that we're stuck with. And then it takes a while to understand, maybe I'm stuck with a view. The witnessing of those places in us is what is more difficult, but I think it's essential that we witness those places, because once they are witnessed, we are not captured by them. They don't have the same authority on us. If we have, for example, blaming the politicians, blame. Wait a minute. Where is that in me? What is that? How is that arising? Maybe I'm expressing things, reactivity, pain, trauma. Let me look at that. Let me be a witness to the arising of anger. I'm there with it, with witnessing, presence, kindness. I see it. It's okay. And it helps us not to be trapped. So the witness is, in a way, helping us to be, not to be trapped or controlled. I just have to say one small, I don't know how much time we have, but there's a very small story which is very lovely. it's inspired our peace work. It's with a Christian priest in the 60s that was against the Vietnam War. And he would be sitting outside the Pentagon all night with a candle. And they call it vigil, just sitting at night, all night with a candle. And people came to him and said, "What? You, one person with a candle all night? You think that will change the whole American military obsession of the Vietnam War?" He said, "No, no, you don't understand. I'm sitting all night with a candle, not because I think I can change them, but because I want to make sure that they don't change me." Which is a lovely response. It's a beautiful response. The witnessing will do that. The witnessing will help us do that.
Thank you so much. Actually, Stephen, we will take another 10-minute break here, a little bit shorter than the previous one. It will give us fresh energy for the third and last round. Are you okay with that?
Sure, I'm witnessing whatever arises.
Very good. Very good.
That's
Yes.
fine.
And until then, let's see. We will leave the Zoom on. If people come up with questions in the chat or raise their hands, or then also here in the hall, you can prepare your questions. Okay, 10 minutes
Sure.
means 20 past. We meet again. Also, es geht jetzt gleich weiter. We are going to continue very soon. I'm skipping through Stephen's homepage. And I'm very touched. Look, with his grandchild.
With the olive trees in the background.
Yes, exactly. And the olive trees are part of your life. And I know your vegetable garden where you dig with your hands every day. I'm very touched by all of this. So we come back to our exchange. I stopped this. I hope everybody got to note down the link to your website.
By the way, I just wanted to tell everybody that hopefully in a year, I should be at your place physically.
Oh, definitely. We should be. I told them already. You will come physically for 1 week with us. And,
exactly.
And I will be so happy to go deeper into all of these subjects with you, how to join practice and activity in daily life, whatever that is for us.
I thought that I would just, before the questions, I would just throw some of my questions to the audience right now. And they're really about contemplation. It's really about the witnessing that I just said before, to allow the voices in us that sometimes we're a little bit not so happy with, so we censor them or we shut them down. So I'm just going to throw some questions out to all of you. And after each question, there'll be a moment of silence. And you can just let it land and see what comes up. No answers, special answers are needed. So the first question was a little bit related to what Tobias was saying before. Do we feel lost in these days, confused and perhaps a bit helpless? Do we feel that? Do we feel that? Can we look around and we feel lost a bit and a bit helpless and confused? The second question is what I mentioned before in my short talk. Do we feel that our attention is hijacked, that we feel swept away by views of others, even strong ones, and so we're not sure anymore what to think or what is important? Is that our experience in some way? Another question. Do we feel free enough to change our views, to question our views, to be flexible about the way we think and change the way we think? And a final question. I like the English word responsibility, because actually it's made of two parts: response, ability, meaning the capacity to respond. So what capacity do I need to develop? I meaning you, all of us. What capacities do I need to develop so that I can take more responsibility to act wisely in the world? What are the capacities that I may be missing or that I can develop? It's an important question to ask. What is it that I can develop so as to act more wisely in the world, so as to find my voice? Okay, so just put that at the back of the mind. And yeah, I'm happy for questions. So anything coming up?
Raise your hand, whether here or in the Zoom.
There is a question from Gabriela. Gabriela, can you?
Yes.
Speak?
Do you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
So dear Stephen, once again, really from my heart, thank you for your contribution and support for our work in the Council of Europe. And for our webinars we are doing there, because also dialogue is really deep to our heart, and we want to develop the interreligious and interconvictional dialogue on European level. But sadly, interfaith dialogue, especially at the European level, sometimes you have very small time and the room is packed full of people who are really only reading their paper. They are not willing to have really dialogue. And I see that one side or the other wants to force the participants to follow only their point of view, and which sometimes blocks the dialogue. Could you give me a suggestion on what I could say or do, or what I think could be a good suggestion in a nutshell to help them get out of their fear-based narrow view?
Well, it looks to me as if you've got one of the problems here is history, in the sense that you've got structures that are built into the system that don't allow that kind of dialogue. So that's the first thing, is really, I would say, start again. If you can find a way, say, okay, tabula rasa, we're beginning again, we're children, we don't have the truth. And undo history, the structure, the forms. Secondly, I think if you can have one-to-one dialogue with unstructured time where people can sit eye level with each other. So to take a Buddhist and a Jesuit and say, look, you're two human beings, just talk for an hour or two about your experience, your life, your this, your that. So much more present moment dialogue rather than any encouragement for positions. I can tell you that if we were busy with positions, we wouldn't be able to do any peace work. It just wouldn't happen. And the Palestinians say the same. We don't want to hear views. We don't want to have positions, even positions about peace. It's not, we have to make peace, not talk about peace. So you need dialogue which is personal and unstructured. Thirdly, I think if it's possible to have something there that is practical, that is about practice. I'll give you an example. I joined a meeting, I don't have time for it, so I didn't join it really, but the Mindfulness Initiative is an international political initiative using mindfulness as a kind of a way of making change in the world. And I saw that they sent around a video of members of parliament, of the British Parliament. And I was really amazed to hear that 600 people in the British Parliament, both parliamentarians and staff, have taken mindfulness courses. And then the British Parliament members were asked, so what did it do for you? And they said, we could have dispute with each other with different views without it turning into conflict, because we see each other more carefully. So I think that all of that is based on a question that you can ask everybody. How can we find ways of a much more authentic listening to each other that is unstructured? And just ask that question of everybody. How are we going to create a real atmosphere of listening rather than of making speeches and trying to be heard? And so that starts the whole process, I think, of those suggestions that I had: undoing structure, one-to-ones, more personal, and maybe having some meditation, prayer, quiet time, whatever is needed, practice.
Thank you very much. We started that with the network of interreligious and interconvictional dialogue, and we are feeling that this starts to, well, it starts.
Okay.
And so far we are collecting best practices of dialogue, and I will write you an email and ask you maybe for a link or something where this is explained about this British Parliament, because that could be very helpful for us.
Okay.
We want to put best practices. I will put you in again the link of our network for interreligious and interconvictional dialogue in the chat for the others, because we are trying to collect these best practice of real and genuine dialogue. And I thank you deeply for all your suggestions, which are very helpful. And actually, last word, when you were speaking, actually the participation to our webinar were exploding. We have never had so many listeners, so it must really have touched people. It was the best webinar we ever had, and people were complaining that they couldn't come in. It was really fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, anything else coming
Yeah.
up? And maybe something came from the questions that I threw out that maybe touched in some place that you want to ask or bring up. Yes.
We have a question to you from Delia.
So I have a little bit two questions. So
Sure.
one question is, so it is regarding the time before the 7th October. So you've been working many years with the meditation work in Israel. And so my question was, what could you see that changed or that helped the Israeli people with the mindfulness work, with the meditation work, for the historical trauma that has been, that the Jewish people had suffer after what happened to them during the 1940s. And so this is my first question. And I just add directly the second question, because the second question is, I think about, what could you see? Has there been a changing of this process after the 7th October?
So my sense is that the mindfulness gave in the dialogues we did and on the peace work we did and the meetings we did, I would say, to channel the pain of our painful story into a positive direction. So especially things like peace walks that we did. So we walked all through Israel and Palestine, Jews and Arabs and Israelis and Palestinians. And the peace walk, the step by step, not just in towns, not actually just making a statement, also through the countryside and past cows and trees, and that sense of being together and expressing something positive was a channel for the pain of the history that people carry and the trauma they carry. Secondly, I don't give a special, I would say, sacredness, almost like holiness, to the Jewish trauma more than the Palestinian trauma. Both of the Palestinian, you can't measure trauma. It depends on how it's received and where you put it. So the Israeli or Jewish trauma was there and the Palestinian trauma was there. So it's kind of, that's already one way of reducing the toxicity of the narrative, which is to see, okay, it's not only your trauma, it's human trauma, because the Palestinians have the same. In fact, the Israelis maybe, are one cause of it. So there is a sense that sharing that sense that together we can carry this. And the third thing that I think is important is qualities of well-being. It's a little bit like I said about the walks, of just being together and drinking tea together and hugging grandchildren, like you saw my own grand. I mean, just basic life is bigger than the trauma, and it's a reminder. For example, if people, one of the tragedies of the conflict here is that if people could only see what a beautiful country and a beautiful region this could be, if the Israelis, Jews, Arabs, Christians, Druze, Lebanese, etc., could just kind of celebrate existence together, their diversity of languages, of culture, this could be a paradise. And it's the sense that there's beautiful possibilities here, great people, amazing histories and diversity and richness. But just think of the Jewish, thousands of years of wisdom, and that's been it. And where is it? it's kind of gone down the rubbish bin when it's just when the reaction is simply from the trauma going into violence and fear. So those kind of movements, I think, would be the way forward with the trauma. And I forgot your second question, actually.
My question was, what could you see as a changement? What changed? You know, you were doing a work over many years,
yes.
And then the 7th of October came, and has there been a changement you could see in your community work?
I think not. I think that we ourselves are still committed, and the people that I talk to, but there is more triggering going on. There's more pain, and that does make it more difficult. So people who are a bit on the edge before, feeling, for example, they can't talk to Israelis right now, Palestinians, and vice versa. People can't go there to the West Bank and talk to Palestinians anymore because the triggering and the pain is so huge, people can't carry it. So there is more of a shutdown right now because of the suffering going on. And I have to say that the tragedy is that October the 7th wasn't as a wake-up call, but is just an invitation to more violence. And it could have been. And there were voices, even from the people around Gaza, the kibbutzim, moshavim, the Jewish communities, that there were voices of young people at that time saying, look what's happening. This is because of all the things that weren't done to peace over the last 80 years. And the disease came up like this. And the failure to take an attitude of, we have to wake up. So that to me is one of the saddest kind of qualities of, or saddest causes of the feelings I feel right now. Just opportunities not taken, and instead small-minded reactivity, defensiveness, etc. So it is more difficult now, of course, but the same people are there. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people around, who Israelis and Palestinians, who really do think out of the box and think differently. But as I say, they're kind of pushed to the edge at the moment.
Thank you so much, Stephen. We are sitting here, and I think our hearts are very touched. Yeah, we are very much moved by all of what you share with us. And the one beautiful thing that unites us immediately with you is that we all practice this wakefulness, this mindfulness together. So my request is, would you share a little last meditation? We still have a quarter hour to go, so that gives you maybe enough time to bring us back into, from all of what we feel now into the present moment, into whatever you feel right.
There was one last question actually in the chat. If we take the last question.
Let's go for the meditation, otherwise it might go too long.
So again, leave behind everything. And just drop into the now, which is welcoming us right now. And the reminder in any mindfulness meditation that we do, and any meditation that we do, there is a ground, if you like, of witnessing that just says, here I am. And just kind of let that echo in us. Here I am. And we can go to part of the whole universe that we experience right now. One of my teachers used to say, focus on an aspect of our experience in the whole cosmos, like focusing on the lotus in the pool. So it gives, we are still there with here I am, but now let's look at again at the body and the breath. Because it's the simple, most immediate place to sustain and confirm presence. We can't breathe in the past or the future. The body is telling us now. Life is in the now. So we can take this breath as a kind of invitation. If there's thoughts, allow them. They're dynamic and free. Let thoughts come and go as they wish. We trust them. They're doing what they know to do, the thoughts, just like the breath is doing what it knows to do. The waves of the breath and the waves of the thoughts. I'd like to invite us all to actually check what's in our hearts right now. What are the waves What are the movements of feeling? Experiences in the last period may have touched our hearts. There may be questions that are questions also of feelings. What's in our heart? Maybe very delicate feelings of ease or struggle or resistance or allowing. Appreciation or uncertainty. Everything is absolutely fine, but let's be like the witness, that we step back from the heart as if we're sitting on the side of the river and watching the river flow by. What's our heart telling us right now? And understanding that our heart is expressing our connectedness, what we've been picking up from each other or from ourselves or from our past or our hopes and fears. Our heart is our vibration with the world, our connection with the world. So let it tell us. And if we give it some space to the feeling life right now, give it a little space. Maybe it will be telling us things that are more subtle. There's a little bit behind that we don't usually hear. Just encourage, give space to what's in the heart right now. And maybe we can begin to understand that our heart is telling us its way of receiving the world, receiving each other, receiving ourselves. And that's compassion. Our heart is actually telling us about compassion. It's vibrating with the world, with experiences. And really getting a sense that there is compassion. There is goodness behind everything, behind what's in our heart, behind what's in the heart of each other. We can feel each other here, together, physically or through Zoom, it doesn't matter, we're together. and sharing that goodness is basic. And let the compassion kind of touch the difficult places that maybe we've been hearing, the places of pain and difficulty and violence. But our response is that our heart is touched, our heart goes to those places. And just feel that there is a natural movement in our heart of wanting to heal and of healing ourselves and the world. And we can trust that movement. And in there too is a small voice, perhaps, of gratitude. Gratitude that we are capable of sending our heartful feelings out, that we are there with others. Gratitude that we are receiving teachings, that there are teachings that help us. Gratitude at the kindness of others. And gratitude at the Dharma that's been flowing for thousands of years and supporting so many in good times and in really stormy times. And gratitude to ourselves that we made the effort to join and to practice together. Gratitude that we're here. And the world allowed us to join. It's important that we give ourselves and everyone else the gratitude that is needed, and the Dharma itself. So we'll just take a moment with that. Okay, we'll take a breath. And slowly, slowly you can open the eyes. Great. So it's been a great pleasure to be with all of you and to, feel connected. And I hope that you're finishing the retreat in a beautiful way. By the way, gratitude is sharing merits. It's an old traditional way of finishing practice. And I want to thank Lama Tillman and everybody for the invitation. And I'll look forward to seeing you one way or another.
We sure will, if life allows.
If life allows, exactly.
We will see each other, and you will be exactly this following week, next year, after our August course, exactly that week you will be with us.
Yeah.
May you stay healthy. May you live long. You look good, young chap. Very, very good. So you're an admirable example, and thank you so much for sharing your time with us. The gratitude was in my heart from the very beginning. So thank you for sharing your precious time with us.
I'm delighted, absolutely. So thank you, everybody, and enjoy your lunch.
Yes, let's give. Yeah, let's give you a big wave from all of us. All of us here giving you a big hug also. Yes.
Also from me to all of you. Yeah, great.
All the best to Rachel as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
See you soon.
See you soon. Yeah, let's be in touch. Okay. Bye for now.
Bye.